say no words. I'm just gonna play the pan. It's gonna play the drums. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Same style. Hey! Hey! You get it? Let's go now. Rise up.
Hello. So we have been asked by Miss Kendra a few questions to answer today. Okay. Do I answer all of them? Or just okay. All right. So the first question that I was asked is anti-Black racism a problem in Georgina? And personally, I do believe that it is still a problem in Georgina. It's a problem everywhere. And there's still like festivals like this is like a really great step forward for a community to like try to abolish anti-Black racism. But there's still so much to be done. But the council is doing such a great job by allowing us to come together as a community and celebrate Emancipation Day and all these festivals like this to help, raise awareness. The second question was if I had a personal experience with racism. I've had like several cases of microaggression happen to me in Georgina. One of the recent ones was, not recent, but like a year or two ago, was in during quarantine where like everything was closed down. Me and my brother, we go to the park because I was like one of the only places like open at the time. So we go to our neighborhood park and we were like probably the only like visible people of color there. And like I just remember a bunch of stares, just like people blatantly staring at me and my brother as we were just minding our own business. We weren't like intruding anyone's privacy or personal space. We weren't doing anything that could provoke them. We would just get stared at. And I thought that I was just making a big deal out of nothing. And I was like, oh, it's probably fine. But I talked to my mom and dad about it because I felt at one point I just felt really uncomfortable to go back. And I remember one day I was like basically almost crying because I was like, why are these people staring at me? And my brother were just here minding our own business. And my mom and dad, they said that it's just a form of microaggression. It happens. It's racism. And I don't think the problem ever stopped. I just think that I ignored it because I didn't want people I didn't know to affect me and my brother's like fun time together. And I think as time grew on, we were out of quarantine, those people left. I don't know. I don't notice them anymore. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Rudy. Thank you.
Thanks, hon.
I know it's hard. Thank you for sharing.
The third question is, as a community, what do you think everyday residents of Georgina can do to help anti-Black racism in Georgina's past? Personally, I think like attending festivals like this and just having general respect and kindness and just show the same love that you show to a person who's white or to a person who's mixed or who is part of the Hispanic race. Anyone, just show everybody equal respect and compassion and love. Like the whole I don't see color thing. See their color, acknowledge it, but don't treat them differently because of it. Make sure just like educate like your children at home, like for like the younger ones that to like accept people and love them for who they are, no matter what race, ethnicity, so on and so forth. And the last question was, what do you think our town council can do to contribute to dismantling anti-Black racism in Georgina on a political level? Personally, I think that programs like this, again, is such a great way to like spread awareness and like slowly start to like abolish like racism in our community. But like once again, there's a lot to be done. An example could be like integrating like culturally sensitive environments in our community, and like making a place where African Canadians can feel welcome. Because I know when me and my family moved here, it was like kind of like, whoa, culture shock. Like there was not a lot of like people to like really communicate with at all, like during quarantine, not less like people of color like ourselves. So like places like that could really help people of African Canadian descent to just feel more welcome and loved in the community that they're now residing in. So with that, thank you.
Alrighty, so I am going to be answering a very similar set of questions, except in the perspective of an ally, as I am not a Black youth or a person of color. So, is anti-Black racism a problem in Georgina? Yes, it is, very much so. We've seen over the past couple of months that there has been blatant examples of graffiti on public spaces, public parks, the N-word spray painted on public skating places in Georgina, and families having to discover it on their own, and trying to explain to their children what any of that means and that it's not okay. I have walked by so many people in my school and in my community throwing around the N-word and other little comments and things that should not be said, because they are discriminatory, they are racist, and even if people don't realize it, they are being offensive and they are being hurtful. So absolutely, just like anywhere, it is most definitely a problem in Georgina as well as everywhere else. Second question I'll be answering is, has anti-Black racism or racially motivated hate or discrimination impacted somebody important in my life? Yes. As Rooney just talked about, Rooney's an important person in my life. Ms. Kendra, Janae, every person of color here, every Black person here, you know, I'm sure you've all experienced something. And a more specific example is that somebody really close to me in my family, so you say family friend, she is Black, she has a son, he is mixed race, and the conversations that she has had to have with him, only being 4 years old, is very, very shocking. The fact that she still gets called the N-word when she goes to the supermarket or is walking down the street, or people cross the street so they don't have to be anywhere near her, is that hurts me, because I know her as such an incredible human being, and to see her be treated so differently, blatantly, it sickens me. It makes me very upset, and that is why I am doing the work that I do and part of organizations that I am part of, because I want to be there to support those people that are doing this fight, and I want to be there to support them in any way that I can. Next question, second to last, is what do I think ally residents of the Black community in Georgina can do to help put anti-Black racism in Georgina's past? Of course, attending events like today's is really important, because the education piece is there, the knowledge piece is there, the community piece is there, getting to connect with people, getting to know people, and I really love the activity, or I guess you could say, I don't know what you would call it, but what Elderly Miller had us do at the end of his speech, where we hugged somebody that didn't look like us. That was really, really powerful. So thank you, Elderly Miller, for that. I found that really powerful, and I really just feel like that connection is really important to have. Like Rooney said, you know, you can't ignore, you can't say that you don't see color, but it's important that we see it, we recognize it, but it's not the first thing that determines how we feel about a person. It should be the person's personality and who they are, and we get to know them before we make an assumption about them. And of course, education is always what I'll say. I'll say knowledge is power all the time. It's really important to continue to educate yourself on history, the current events happening in the world, and not ignore what is going on, and continue to educate yourself and, you know, learn to unlearn old and new behaviors. The final question I will be answering is, what do you think Georgina Town Council can do to contribute to dismantling anti-Black racism in Georgina on a political level? First of all, for the time that I have lived in Georgina, which has been all my life and been politically active, so almost 4 years, is that I haven't seen a person of color be on town council in the time that I've been here. And I think it's important that opportunities are being given to those people to come to the table and share their experiences and really share what it's like firsthand, so their voices can be heard, because you can't make an assumption for somebody that you have no idea what it's like to walk in their shoes or live their life. And I also think having events like this, it's so important that Ms. Quirk, you're here today to be here and to support. It really shows that you're taking action. You're not just saying you're going to do something or have a plan. You're really putting it forward. So I thank you so much for that. It means a lot. And I think we need to continue to do that in all of our political areas. And like I mentioned in my speech beforehand about what the flag raising means to me, we have to learn to ask questions and question policies and things that have been put in place, and ask if everybody was included in that conversation and if everybody had a space at the table to share how they feel and give their experiences. Because you can't make, like I said, you can't make a decision for somebody if there's not a diverse group there to share their experience, and that way the choices that are made reflect everyone in the community, or at least a very large amount, because anti-Black racism and learning about it and learning to be anti-racist is a continuous journey. It's something that you're constantly on, and I know it's something that I'm constantly learning through and getting through and educating myself on in this community. So with that, I will pass it to Janae. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Hannah. It was a good message.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have some similar questions that like Rudy and Elena had. So my first question is anti-Black racism a problem in your community? Yes, it is. It is still a problem in our community, and there's still many things that need to be done. There are still many incidents that have not been reported, or lots of things that have been happening, especially in the schools, that people don't really know about. Whether a personal experience or one you witnessed, would you please share an experience of anti-Black racism in your community with us here today? There's been multiple, whether it's been because of my skin color, because of my hair, because of my race, but this is the most recent one I could think of. So I was in grade 8, so it was around a year ago, and I was planning a Black History Month assembly for our school. So I asked my principal, because I saw that something needed to be done and that the children at the school need to be more educated, especially since they were young. I felt like it's something that I needed to do. But then I remember this one guy in my class. I remember he's like, why do we need to come to school to learn about this? Like, I'd rather just stay at home. And then that really, like, at the time, it kind of like made me not want to do it. But it also made me want to do it more, if that makes sense. Like, it made me want to educate people more, especially having like an 8th grader say that. Like, an 8th grader is still pretty young. So then it's like, how was he raised, and like, how is he gonna grow if he doesn't learn about this now, especially if he's going to high school? But then, like, I remember when I actually did the assembly, I remember that a few 5th graders, they like wrote this note to like me and the people who did it. And I was basically saying how they really enjoyed it and how they appreciated what they learned and how they were happy that we took the initiative to do that. And I really remember that because they were only 5th graders, and I was really happy to hear that they were happy to learn about Black history and about the culture. And I feel like I did the right thing in that moment while I taught them about the Black history, because seeing the result of it and seeing that, it makes me like more hopeful for the future. So the next question is, as a community, what do you think everyday residents of their community can do to put anti-Black racism in its past? I would say continue to educate, attend events like these. I would say don't make the same mistakes, like learn from the past, like I guess acknowledge like what needs to be done, but make sure you don't make the same mistake again, or else things are never going to change. And also remember to treat others the way you want to be treated, and always be kind, because you never know what someone else is going through. Like, for example, at school, you never know what that kid is going home to, or you never know, like, and like even in a family, like you never know like what school like how their life at school is, or like that's why it's always good to like educate. And I say, like, especially with the younger people, to educate them so they can make a difference as well and not continue the mistakes of the past. And the last question is, what do you think your town council could do to contribute to dismantling anti-Black racism in your community on a political level? I would say raise more awareness, like to spread the word and continue to like educate and make it more aware to people. I would also say maybe making more programs like these, like even like free programs like for Black youth or like any youth to come and learn about Black history, or like maybe more Black history books in the libraries, or like more videos on it, or like especially like with the younger kids like in kindergarten to like teach them now before like it's too late, because racism is like it's taught, it's not something you are born with. And I also want to say like to make sure like you learn from others, make sure you listen, that you're like open-minded to hearing the right thing, and make sure you surround yourself with the right people. Thank you.
Thanks, Hannah. It was a really good message.